When I first saw whatever happened to Sarah Jane, I hated it. I hated those what-if stories when a character doesn't exist, when one person only remembers and tries to make everything remember. But as the series went on and the more time I watched it, somehow this episode actually made this style of storytelling work. Time is being rewritten. Maria Jackson wakes up to find everything is not what it seems. A woman named Andrea Yates now lives in 13 Bannerman Road, and everyone that she knows is no longer there. She looks to find out that Sarah Jane has died at the age of 13, but her friend, Andrea Yates, lives. So it's up to Maria Jackson to save the day. However, when she confronts her, Andrea Yates goes to her attic and conjures up a cloaked figure, the Trickster, who sends a Grask to transport Maria away. Can everything be put back into place before an incoming meteor hits the Earth? Is the TARDIS always blue? Looking back on Series 1, one of the weakest parts of the series was the character of Maria. I just didn't think she had a specific personality to her character. She's just a basic Doctor Who companion. While Clyde has his cockiness, Luke has his smarts, Maria is just a companion-based character who just tags along with Sarah Jane. That's it. However, this episode is the only time where Maria actually does something. Since she's the only one who remembers Sarah Jane, she does everything that she can to try and get her back. She stands up to Andrea, her parents, she tries calling her friends, she drags her father into the commotion, and she even figures it out in the end. And throughout the episode, I actually wanted her to succeed. It's interesting to see how she would cope in this strange brand new world, and all of a sudden she is the mad crazy one in this world. I especially love Alan Jackson in this episode, in this series in general. He's probably one of my favourite fathers in the Doctor Who universe. Since Maria gets kidnapped at the end of part 1, Alan now takes over, and I especially love his interrogation with Andrea. Again, like Maria, he does everything he can to get some answers of where his daughter is. And by the way, I can just watch him on that skateboard for hours. I've also watched the outtakes of this series featuring the actor who plays him, and he's still fun to watch. I wasn't really a fan of the character Andrea. That is to say, the full of herself quirky side of her. Even as a child, I hated her. But I do admire the more sympathetic, guilt-ridden side of Andrea. While there are times in which she actually is pleased that she let her best friend die, but I could really sympathize with her. I mean, how would you feel if you were a child and if you were in her shoes? But there are also some moments, especially in part 2, that, similar to old Amy in The Girl Who Waited, it wouldn't be fair for her, living her whole life and having a good time, only to then have them be scrubbed away. You know it's not fair. But on the other side, it is nice to see where Sarah Jane got some inspiration to defend life before she even met the Doctor. This episode introduces us to the Trickster. Do I need to explain anything about him? You all know him, you all know what he does, so I'll just leave out the details for later. I guess I'll just talk about the design. I really enjoy seeing him in that black cloak and seeing only his mouth under the hood, and by the time he reveals to have a bare face with no eyes, that was the point. I literally just gulped. He becomes one of the show's main antagonists, and it does show, but I'll go more into him as the series goes on. This is a creature who can never be out of place in Doctor Who. His scenes with Sarah Jane in Limbo are clearly the highlights of the episode, where he clearly shows his purpose and goal in life. We also see the Grask debut in this series. He previously appeared in the Doctor Who DVD game Attack of the Grask, but this is probably his first official appearance on television. And since then, the Grask has actually become one of my favourite monsters of Sarah Jane and Doctor Who. It's just something about this design and the characteristics that just make me smile every time. So, as far as Sarah Jane Adventures goes, this is one of the better ones. I won't say it's the best in my opinion, I mean the quick zooms do become a little old, but it is one of my top 5. Foreshadow for a future video. This is an interesting episode to look to see what the world would be like if it lost one of the world's most beloved characters, and you really wouldn't want to miss it.